Hell yeah.
That's good.
We are live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter. We will be live shortly on Rockfin. This is the Propaganda Report. I'm Brad Binkley here with Ian Covell. Thank you for joining me today, Ian.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are your New Year's resolutions going?
Oh, they're going great. So far, so good. I just can't believe how fast this year is flying by.
Me either. It's already the 12th day of Christmas. Where did the time go? A lot of people don't realize that the 12 days of Christmas start on Christmas Day, and we are right now on the 12th day with about an hour and a half or so left until Christmas is officially over.
Got to take those Christmas trees down tomorrow.
Right. You got to get the Jeffrey Epstein files out of your stocking, put the stockings up, take the Christmas trees down, and then start your January. Today, what I have for us, Ian, is we're going to start off. It's going to be a little bit of open discussion. I haven't had hardly any time today to prep, so I'm going to pull in a story that I didn't get to yesterday that I think is interesting, and then open it up to discussion, and then go to some articles that I think just seem interesting that we can go through. And if you guys want to leave anything in the comments that you want us to check out, we can do that as well. The Epstein files have been pretty much uninteresting. I talked about that last night. But a story that I found to be very interesting, I don't have my notes on it, so I'm going to pull up the article on it on screen and show it to you, is this story about a foreign exchange student that had been kidnapped, cyber-kidnapped, who was found safe earlier this week. Have you heard about this story at all?
I have not heard about the story, and I think I'd like a couple of chances to guess.
Of what cyber-kidnapping is?
Yes.
By all means, please.
Okay. So I'm going to guess that she was not kidnapped by some kind of a cyborg or a robot. Wasn't
Did you say she?
I really should not have.
Did you just misgender this person who is a he?
I just assumed. When they said victim, I just assumed it was
women.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Let me interrupt.
So this dude was not kidnapped by a robot, but he was. I don't know. Was he kidnapped by a computer? Was his profile kidnapped?
Well, here's what I can get. So there's a couple of interesting angles to this story. There's the how it was done, what cyber kidnapping is, and there is the who are being targeted for cyber kidnapping, because this is not a one-off thing. This is a broader thing going on. What happened, from what I can gather going through the story, is the kid, they target young foreign exchange students, many of them Chinese. And I guess they're banking on them not being very smart, and they threaten their family somehow. And see, this is the missing link here when it comes to the story, is what they actually did to compel this kid to listen to them. So the kidnappers contact them digitally and threaten the kid's family, and the kid's family's in China, right? Gonna kill your family, whatever. And the kid believed that it would happen if he didn't follow their orders. And the orders they gave him were that he needed to isolate himself away from everyone else, make it look like he disappeared, and then he needed to take photos of himself in isolated, which he went to the mountains, and make it look like he's being held hostage. So he needs to create the illusion that someone is holding him there. And then he sends those photos to the cyber kidnappers, who take those photos and send them to his parents in China, who believe that he is being held physically by someone else, when in reality, he's just sitting in the woods by himself for 4 days or so. And the parents who are talking to the cyber hackers or cyber kidnappers, they end up sending $80,000 in ransom for their kid, to keep their kid safe. And after they didn't get any assurances that their kid would be safe, I guess, they contacted the foreign exchange student, kid who's sitting in the woods on his own volition. They contacted the school. They didn't contact the police first. I thought that was interesting. They contacted the school. I thought maybe it's a language barrier thing. Maybe he's at a school where they know people can speak both English and Chinese, and they trust them more than maybe calling the authorities. But then I realized that they did not contact the host family. The host family for this kid had no idea that he was even missing, because they heard him the night before that he allegedly went missing, and they heard him the morning that he allegedly went missing. So to them, he just hadn't been home for a few hours, probably because he was going to the mountains where he was told to isolate himself and take these photos, and then coming back home. Yet his real parents in China believed he was being, held, maybe killed possibly if they didn't listen to him. It's just a really bizarre thing, and I'm really interested. So I get the technique that they're using, but it all depends on convincing the kid that somehow, if he doesn't do what they say, that his family is going to be harmed who are in another country. And Chinese foreign exchange students have been specifically targeted with this at a high level, apparently. I'd never heard of this until last week, but it's been going on.
That's fascinating. So, who's this guy with the bleach blonde hair? Nothing to do with the kidnapping?
The image of the reporter. I don't know who that. Maybe he's probably a real kidnapper. That guy.
Yeah, no, he's probably a real kidnapper. He looks very happy to be reporting on
But
this story.
So the cops actually found the kid. So I think because it's weird. Like, the cops found the kid in the mountains, about, I think, 40 miles away from his house, after they were alerted that he was missing by the school, not the host family, because they didn't realize he was missing. And so they pinged his phone, and they almost instantly found where he was, and he was in the woods, and he's safe now. But he was up in the woods with really no food, no water, no resources. It was very cold. But I don't think he was there very long. Like, I think he just went there for the photo shoot.
Right.
He would have came back on his own later. But an interesting angle of this story is that about a week before this, in another part of town, this was in Utah that this happened. He goes to school in Utah. It was another town about 30 miles away where he was stopped by police because he was trying to camp in a weird area, and the police were concerned for his safety. So they contacted the host family, and they got him back home. And apparently he was being manipulated by these cyber kidnappers at that time too. So he was also there for a photo shoot, but he was interrupted by the police and sent back home. He just never told anybody. I'm guessing probably because they said, if you tell anybody what you're doing, we'll kill your family.
How does a person going through that hide the pressure they're under?
I don't know. You would have to make up problems that you're having that you're not, to cover up the other problem that you're having. It's like I'm on drugs. I wandered out here. It's in his mind. It feels like he was probably protecting his family at all costs.
Yeah, it should have said he was also found, like they had cyber kidnapping in quotes. It should have also said safe, when he was found safe, because he wasn't really in danger.
Right. So there's the image of, it's a tent, and it's just, right. He was never actually in danger, but his parents never knew that because they're in another country. So that must be part of the angle there, is they can't actually physically get contact with him. But what I have yet to be able to find with this story is how they convinced him that his family was in danger. So the first thing he was concerned with when the cops showed up was, is my family safe? So that's like what he asked them when they found him. So he was obviously worried about them. And they were like, no, they've all been killed, but you're okay. Of course they were fine, because it's just wild, the social engineering manipulation tactics that these cyber hackers can get away with. It's grown in sophistication. It used to be you get the Nigerian prince scheme, where you get the email littered with errors telling you to they need help, and you send them money, they'll send you money back, and they pull on people's heartstrings. But they targeted people who didn't care how many errors were in that, because they were trying to appeal to people who maybe weren't the brightest, right?
Right.
But now it's like these crimes have grown in sophistication substantially, to the point of somebody actually kidnapping themselves. I kidnapped myself to save my family.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I guess it could happen to anybody, right? But it's hard to believe that it's hard to believe for me to believe that I could fall victim of something like this.
And that's why that's the missing part of the story. And I actually think that there is probably even broader China connection that this is going to lead to, because I've started seeing more stories about this incident that are less about this incident and more about the pattern of it, and how it's Chinese kids and their families at home that are being targeted. And what they do with the cyber hackers is they identify families somehow who are very wealthy, who have children who are going to school overseas, not in communist China, but in communist America.
Right.
And they know they can play that, and they know that $50,000, $80,000 means nothing to these people, and then they run the con. But again, I'm trying to imagine a situation where I would fall for that. Is there a deep fake involved? Is there, because there have been deep fakes used, deep fake audio, or at least people have tried, with a grandparent scheme. They call the grandparents. They say, we have your grandkid held hostage. Here's some audio of them. Then they'll play some audio, which is probably like a YouTube video of them like, hey, look at these 5 techniques for getting rid of wrinkles. And like, oh, don't worry about that, but I have your grandkid.
Yeah.
And the grandparents, because they're not technically savvy, they'll pay the money. If anybody's going to use deep fakes, audio and visual, nefariously, I mean, definitely cyber hackers are going to do it, and that's what a way you can kidnap the digital version of someone and
cyber kidnappers
get real money.
Man,
we should start a cyber kidnapping business.
Well, I was actually gonna ask how does someone get into this business? Not asking out of curiosity, but when I got into it when I was a bartender for years, people were always curious. There was constantly a question I got asked multiple times a week. So how'd you get into bartending? How do I get into bartending? Blah, 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 blah. You just fall into it, really.
I would love if you had some tragic story that led to it.
No.
I killed 50 people.
I was a busboy, and the manager came up to me and he goes, Ian, our bar back was no call, no show. You've had bar experience, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'd never been behind a bar a day in my life, and
you lied.
I lied, and then I walked back there and I looked at the bartender and I said, wow, this is really different than the bar I used to work at.
There's some changes we need to make here.
Yeah, and they figured it out, but they were cool.
So I don't
know how you get into this.
I want to hear a wrinkle in that story. If you get that origin story, it's I was a bar back, and then my manager came to me and he said, Ian, our bartender was just murdered behind the bar, and there's a lot of people who need drinks. We need to throw somebody into the fire. Are you up for it?
Yeah, I could do that. I'll solve the murder and
right. Yeah, and that's we have like a murder she wrote,
but
it's a bartender. So I like where we're going with this.
Yeah.
So this is something I think we can look out for, because everything is there's always a China,
always
flavor to the news
something.
now.
Is this the new Chinese balloon?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Is this the new Chinese weather balloon? Are they really getting kidnapped, or are they just camping out there collecting intel on our woods?
This kid probably is a spy. They should have left him in the woods.
Maybe they're spying on our national parks.
And that's another thing. Is like the kid he had his car. The kid was found safe in a tent with his car, a full tank of gas, and a cell phone.
Yeah.
And nobody there holding him.
Yeah.
Right?
Sounds pretty safe.
It's just wild, dude. There is something to this idea. I've read some of these surveys or polls about people who are the most gullible, and it is not the oldest people, what some people might think. It's the youngest people. The gen, obviously babies are very gullible. They're the stupidest people on the planet, babies are. I'll outsmart a baby any day of the week. They're all dumb.
That's a pretty smart baby. I bet Einstein was a pretty smart baby.
Yeah, Einstein, you couldn't get one past baby Einstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they target kids because kids don't know any better. And if they're not being taught anything, what they're being taught is media literacy to spot, quote, disinformation, which is actually just teaching them to avoid truthful things that go against the narrative. So their brains are being melted by these education programs in the public school system. I've seen some of these. Have you seen any of these?
Oh, what?
These disinformation they do a part of their like history course or one of their courses in a lot of public schools is they have to do a disinformation module that is supposed to teach them how to spot disinformation. And then when you read it, it's like, and I'm exaggerating, but only a little bit. It's like, was Obama the best president ever or the greatest president ever?
Oh my God.
And so in the questions, lies are implied in the question. At the January 6th insurrection, it's like how a question might start. And it's like, this is a disinformation module. It is literally brainwashing them with lies.
Nothing about the summer of insurrection prior to the January 6th insurrection.
This is summer of hope in this material. And they make them read Trevor Noah's books, one of which is like pretty racist. Towards white people.
I am so glad. I am so glad I went to school when people still partied and drove Camaros and Mustangs.
Called each other fag.
And retard. I'm just so glad I was there for that. I had a smoking section at my high school, Brad.
Are you inside?
Outside.
Oh, okay.
There's a chain link area.
Like at lunch, you could just smoke a cigarette?
You can just go out in the chain link area and smoke cigarettes.
You could bum one off your math teacher?
Well, they had their own smoking area.
Yeah.
I had my English teacher would go sit in her car during lunch and smoke
cigarettes. Some of her students?
No, just by herself.
I wonder, with all the sex we find out about, it's like you can't have sex with a student as a teacher, and the whole world know about it nowadays, which makes you wonder who of your friends were banging some of your teachers when you were in high school.
I love the sob story. And then she went out and she bought me a whole bunch of beer. And this is the teacher, right?
Yeah. I was only 17. She put her titties right in my face.
She put her titties in my face, and then she gave me a blowjob.
She was 22.
I know. Give me a break. I mean, give me a break.
I get when it's like a 12-year-old.
Well, yes.
But like
when
you're
16,
student,
even 15, dude. Sorry. At 15, I was bouncing off the walls. If I had a 22-year-old teacher.
Yeah, if only you went to school nowadays, dude. And the teachers, they'll hire anybody. So it's like, oh, you don't even have to go to college. It could be like a 19-year-old teacher.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for good teachers, because there are good teachers, but other teachers can give them a bad
ruin it. They have sex with their students and ruin
it. And you know the worst part about all those stories is it's always like married mother of two, 22 years old, and it just shows an image of like the dad taking care of the children, like holding them, and then side by side with an image of the mugshot and the story of.
So I always like to look in the eyes of the mugshot of the teacher, the female teacher, because I like to go. I'm like, I want to see the crazy, because I'm terrible at spotting the crazy until it's pointed out to me. Right?
You are?
Oh, I'm terrible. I can't see the crazy in the eyes until
I see it immediately.
Yeah, until it's pointed
out to me. And I follow it. Is what I do.
Well, it's yeah, I have a bad.
My problem is that I see the crazy, and that doesn't make me run. That's my problem.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue. Maybe I just overlook it. Maybe I just go, oh, the crazy is good. Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, the crazy. It's like, that's crazy, but it's my kind of crazy.
Yeah.
People, we want to see things too in people that, you know, and we hold people up in the media and the way the politics work in the world today is we idolize these figures as though they're supposed to be flawless human beings, when in reality, every politician is having sex on the floor of the Senate and sniffing their daughter's hair in the shower, right? I mean, that's to no fault. They're not the first one to do that.
No.
I would like for Ashley Biden to give a speech from the White House defending her father's showering, sniffing habits when she was a kid. It made her who she is today.
Now, is that a true story?
That's a story that has not been denied at all.
Okay.
It is her diary was Project Veritas got it.
Right.
And there's some audio of Ashley calling them and demanding to get it back or something, and there's never been a denial that any of that has happened. There's only been an avoiding of the conversation about
you would want to deny that. You would want to deny it if it wasn't
if it
true.
weren't true,
Even if
you
it
would want
was
to
true,
deny it.
you would want to deny it.
I mean, if it was true, you'd want to kill everyone who has evidence of it and then deny it. If you can't do that, you just never mention it.
Why do people keep diaries? Why do you keep a diary of? Why do you write down all of these things that could just be, especially rich and powerful people?
I don't know.
I don't even write down a diary.
Yeah.
I don't even write down.
I write writing jokes. You know what I do, and this is true. I've been doing this for years. Whenever I do just free association joke writing or even more structured, I always write a very sloppy. These are only joke premises. I'm not crazy at the top of the page.
Oh my gosh.
So that if I ever get into a car accident and my notes are all in there and they're just strewn all over the road and people are like, why does he have so many comments about dicks and going to shop at Walmart in the self-checkout? What is wrong? Like, they would think you're very, very deranged if they thought any of it was serious.
It's a code.
Yeah, it's coded.
It's coded.
White nationalist language.
Of course. Well, you just consider the source. What do we know? What do we know about the author of this manifesto? Well, we know that he had a extreme right-wing show where he exposed propaganda. He was also white.
And there are rumors that he used to draw penises in all of his friends' notebooks in high school.
Oh my goodness.
And sometimes change the browser on their computer to open up to a gay porn site.
So we have an expert here. We have an expert here in early white supremacist warning signs, and that is
Glad
one
to be
of
here.
Well, yeah, and that is actually, you said that was one of the early warning signs.
One of the early warning signs
penises on things.
Yes, anyone who draws penises or tries to get their friends to open up links to Tub Girl is early warning sign of white nationalism.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good to know. We can all be on the lookout for little white nationalists on the rise.
That's how they do it nowadays.
I know.
Hold on, I gotta take a call. Sorry, it's my flip phone. It wasn't. I love to pull my flip phone out, Ian. You know.
I know you do, man.
I have a flip phone. For those just listening, we're cleaning out my parents' house to sell it, and I found all of their old cell phones. One of them is like a Zach Morrison. I have a flip phone, but it's like an old school flip phone. And I like to walk around in public pretending to talk on it and snap selfies of myself on it.
I just trade all my old iPhones in, and I'm sure
for drugs.
No, for another phone. And I'm sure what they do is they put it in an evidence bag and they just send it. They send it to my file, my ongoing
directly
file.
To the FBI. All of your old phones go to an evidence bag. To the FBI.
Well, you know the story that the FBI came to my house.
You told me about that when you were like 14
as a kid.
Yeah, tell us about it. The FBI visited Ian when he was just a teenager.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, when I was 13, 14, my buddy and I made a lot of. We were into computer. We had modems, and we would. I don't know if you guys know what BBSs are, bulletin board systems. Really dating myself, but. Anyways, we got these list of 800 phone numbers, made all these prank phone calls. The FBI ended up showing up to my house one day. And they're standing there in the foyer with my mom and dad. My mom's sobbing, and my dad is absolutely sobbing. My dad is terrified. And there's these two FBI agents, and they say that, well, you've been making these harassing phone calls. It was this place called Pet Finders in New York. It was so stupid. And we would just make these prank phone calls, for like looking for our pet llama. And we would just really annoy these guys.
That alerted the FBI.
Well, we did. It was the volume at which we did it. I mean,
so you would be considered a troll of sorts back then.
Oh my God, we were trolling very hard.
It's interesting because the FBI will come to your door now if you tweet things like that. People too many times.
So, anyways, guy comes to the door, and he says, starts saying that we had sexually harassed someone, and I just look at the guy, and I think to myself, these are the FBI agents that have been sent on the case of the prank calling 14.
They're the worst, dude.
I was like, these guys are nobody. And I look at the guy and I said, so how can I sexually harass someone 1,500 miles away when I don't even have a driver's license? I couldn't carry out any
He's
kind of
like, you
threats.
tell me, you're the expert.
Yeah, right. I know. He puts his notepad away, leaves. My dad, years later, told me it was the hardest, most difficult moment in raising me because he didn't know whether to punish me or like be happy, be proud. He was so proud that I had just made these FBI agents just look like shit and get in their cars and go home.
That is, you have to, when you're leaving that as an FBI agent, really be like, what are we doing with our careers here?
Yeah.
We have a kid trolling us, and these are the jobs we're getting sent on. But they expand the FBI so much now that it's like you're either assigned on the. It's like there's a smear Trump, say hate Trump, or it's you got to go pretend to be a Trump fan and just infiltrate a bunch of scenarios.
Well, I wonder if the Biden, because of me telling this story right now, is the Biden DOJ going to reopen the investigation?
It's probably going to reopen it. There's going to be the same FBI agent is going to come to your house, and he's going to be like, I remember you. We're opening it up. You were at the January 6th insurrection, which, by the way, one day away from the anniversary of
I know.
the worst
What are you doing?
attack.
What are you doing for January 6th?
I'm standing with Ukraine.
Cool, man. Free
Yeah.
Palestine.
Yeah, and free. Standing with Ukraine, Israel, and all of that.
I mean, that's what I mean. Stand with
I'm gonna
Israel.
watch Biden's speech, which they're gonna talk about the MAGA domestic terrorism threat. I love how this is made into an event. It's made into a dark anniversary in the history of our country. I mean, that's what the media projects this as.
Oh yeah, they do. It's honestly, it's like they're spending so much time talking about January 6th and not enough time talking about why groceries are so expensive.
Right, or why there's so much gay sex being filmed inside Congress.
Yeah, which probably is directly tied to prices.
The grocery prices, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to send so many groceries to all these exhausted people having gay sex in Congress that it's jacking up the prices for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. Dana Superstar says that she's watching the show from her sensory deprivation tank. You can get the Hunter Biden sensory deprivation tank at whitehouse.gov. You know, they should sell that. Fuck it. Why not just go all out with branding the Hunter Biden situation? And you can they should sell bobbleheads of Joe Biden smelling his daughter in the shower. Nobody would care anymore. And Jake Tapper would be like a new fun bobblehead of Joe Biden advising his daughter on life issues in the shower. And it's just the way that they cover up all of this bullshit. It's crazy. And I wonder, I feel like they're trying to identify the people in society who are the most committed to their ideology or whatever you want to call it, their side, because I feel like they're not even trying to present truthful arguments or information anymore because they don't want anybody who can decipher that. Goes back to the Nigerian prince scheme. They target people who don't give a shit about how all of the signs that it's an obvious scam and the misspellings. They're just so into it. And I feel like that is what's going on a grand scale.
I think that's absolutely right. I think we're, I was looking at, there was something that came across my news feed today about Trump making money from foreign countries, and now they're just pumping out, and it's a story that they've been they published it in 2019,
right?
2021, and that's the same exact story.
Same story.
Same story. They're putting out in 2024.
Right. Yeah.
I think,
but Hunter Biden, Joe has nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business.
Just nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business, right?
At all.
It's absolutely such a distraction. A friend of mine sent that to me as like a gotcha today, and I was like, yeah, but this is not really a gotcha.
It's not
this
real.
Is just,
yeah.
But
that's why they put it out there, though. So whenever information comes out there that would, if anybody investigated and looked into it, would actually undermine their whole worldview, they just say, hey, just throw some of this old bullshit out there, and that will give them the explanation to their friends. I mean, this is like in a CIA manipulation manual document I've gone through on the show where they talk about doing shit like this.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's always it's the same friend of mine who manages to find these articles that I'm always like, this is just the same rehash stuff that we've already seen before.
And he's like, says a racist.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What do you think? So, I have considered just starting to accuse others of racism whenever I'm the least bit frustrated. Do you think that is an effective? I think it is an effective strategy.
It's really effective. It's really effective. You should see the Reginald link I sent you today.
I love your Reginald tweets on social media. And I was thinking about some of the stuff that you tweet out earlier today. There's a couple of stories that I noticed yesterday. One of them was about USA Boxing and how they had changed the rules. Them and it's not the official Olympic thing, but it's one of their advisors that recommends rules and stuff like that, where they changed what they recommend the official rules for the Olympics to be. And it was, we need equality. We need it to be fair for everyone. Therefore, we have decided that the hormonal requirements need to be removed. You no longer need to be required to take hormone suppressing things if you want to be a female athlete as a male. You definitely don't need to have the surgery. It needs to be fair. Therefore, you just can be a biological male.
Dude, let the freak show begin.
Right. And that was like an official announcement by two organizations.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. I don't understand why the push behind it. It makes very little sense to be pushing this hard to satisfy a fraction, like 3% of the global population.
Well, I think the people behind it are men in their mid 40s, maybe late 40s, early 50s, who never got to have that professional athlete career they always dreamed of.
I think, yeah, I think it's...
I mean, I will dominate the shit out of some chicks in basketball. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, man. I mean, right now, I think I'd be a pretty competitive female athlete with a little bit of training.
I'd average a double-double in the WNBA.
You think so?
Absolutely. I'd average 15 and 10.
Now you would. But give it 5 years, and then there's going to be some big dudes that come in.
Yeah, then it's just going to be the NBA in 5 years. It's going to be LeBron James.
TWNBA.
Yeah.
You know?
But the boxing, too.
I would watch the shit out of the TW. I would actually start... This is where I'm conflicted, because I would actually... I would watch the shit out of that. They'd be dunking. It'd be... I mean, because you remember, like, the big fight... Remember, I got called sexist because I just suggested that they lower the rim for the WNBA.
They should.
They should lower the rim. Lower the rim. I remember...
It's a boring sport.
Boring sport. Just lower the rim. Let's see some dunking. Come on. Even shorten the court a little bit.
Right. So, but instead of doing that, they're like, let's let guys play.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
You're absolutely right. But what's going to happen is, so if these men are going to come and be playing all these sports, which the more they push this, the more that will happen, then the actual women who are just really, the whole idea of women's sports was because they didn't have an opportunity to play with men's sports. They're going to stop playing. And it's just going to become men with long hair. And then they're going to be, how can I play?
That's why they have to keep saying trans women are women. That's why they have to keep saying it. If you go on Twitter or on Threads, I'm telling you, every single morning I see a dozen different accounts in my newsfeed that literally just repeat the same line 25 times over and over and over. Trans women are women, trans women are women. Like, it's insane.
And these are people who are...
It's like a prayer. It's like a prayer.
Right, it is. It's a religion.
Yeah.
They've been trained by their activist leaders to do this. They don't care about like the process of it. In fact, if I had to guess, there's probably a little bit of like Solinsky programming going in there, Marx programming, where it's like, it's okay to do this right now because of the society. We need to get to this society. And the only way to do it is for you to be a lying manipulator so that you can stop the lying manipulators.
What the Democrats are doing right now, in my opinion, with removing Trump from ballots, is they are revealing what their philosophy is. Their philosophy is we must destroy our democracy to save our democracy.
Right, and that is exactly what they say, and that's what's going on right now. And I wonder, thinking about progressives that I know,
fuck them. I hate them.
Do they recognize this? Is this their position that we must actively destroy democracy in order to save it, and that's why we're okay with lying?
They are. That is what they. No, the progressives live in a world of theories. It's all theory. Nothing is. You know, the fullest realization of what progressives want ended up killing 150 million people.
Right, 150 million racists.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? It's like I can't stand.
It's an end justifies the means mentality that has been projected onto a broad section of society.
And it comes from this point of view where you believe you see above and through and around everything.
Right, and everybody else is stupid.
You see the truth. Yeah. Everyone is stupid. You see the truth. And don't worry, once we fix it, they'll all thank me.
And you're absolutely right. And it's hard to even convey this message to people about how, like, these letters that were written from Lord Northcliffe of the Propaganda Bureau in Britain in World War I to his operatives around the world, including Sir Gilbert Parker, who was here in the U.S. as an operative, specifically here to turn our leaders to favor the war on their side. And he would write back and forth. He would say they're so stupid. These intellectuals, they would target the intellectuals who thought nobody could get anything by them. And they mocked how easily manipulatable these people who thought they were so smart were. And I think nothing has changed. I think the same. So I think there are a small group of people who are kind of in on all this shit, but I think most people they're having their strings pulled based on their ego, based on how smart they think they are, based on their, whether it's sexpionage. They have all of these different angles to fucking con people that they exploit. And despite the fact that the information about all of these strategies is out there, some people either don't know about it or they're helpless to it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And I think a good indicator when you're being propagandized to is, I think this is one time where your gut feelings can be a really good indicator.
Right. Yeah.
When you just know something's a little off, right? When people say things like, yes, when I see a headline that says, yes, some men can get pregnant.
Well, some of them can, right? I mean, there's tampons in the bathroom in Parliament in Canada, right?
I believe that, but some.
Have you never gotten a man pregnant?
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I've been banging dudes left and right trying to get them pregnant, man.
You should get some sort of fund from the guy. You should fund this endeavor.
Yeah,
we're funding so and so.
Dudes pregnant.
There's probably a study that does that. There's probably we have a person who's in this study. We're giving them $5 million to just try and bang dudes and get them pregnant. Dr. Fauci might be leading it for all we know.
I want to see a reality show called My Pregnant Dad.
That'd be a great show.
And it's just it's
starring
a whole,
Wayne Brady.
It's like it's a show where you got like a group of people on, right? They're all living in a house together. It's all pregnant trans men living in there together.
What do you think that would do to the perception of it? Of course, it would deal with the production of it and how it's presented. Maybe it's presented as every day they're just having the greatest time of their life.
Well, I think the best episode we could hope for is one of them breaks the water and
we see the baby burst out of their penis.
Yeah. No.
Very
These are men with vaginas,
assuming.
dude. This is a.
Well, I should say prolapsed vagina is what I should say.
No, well, I'm just saying that these are trans men who can have babies through their vaginas.
Oh, so these are women. Yeah, I'm confused. They confuse you with it. So these are actual women that are having them through the vagina.
Brad, I don't think you understand how
I am
it
really
works.
misgendering people, and I'm being very offensive. I know.
This is going to be demonetized.
Everything I do is demonetized. Dude. But that kind of stuff is like, I don't even think people get mad. I don't think people who know people who are trans ever really fight with them. I know a lot of trans people. Well, not a lot. I know probably 5 or 6 trans people, and I've never gotten into an argument, and I've never intentionally been mean to them. They've never gotten mad at me for accidentally using their previous gender identification. I just think they want that to happen. I think they want to create this reality.
I got to be honest. I'm a little, because of the stakes that I've been shown. Like, the stakes are pretty high if you misgender someone. You know. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous around the few trans people. I'm not exposed to a whole lot of trans people in my industry.
You should be.
But no, I mean, but I'm a little like, I got to be honest.
Well, they want you to be that. They want you to be, which causes you to make mistakes and causes you. I tell the story of a friend of mine who their stepdaughter, who worked at Starbucks, came home and said, "Hey, my friend got kicked out of her house. Can she stay with us for a little while?" And they said, "Sure," because they were just trying to be like nice, good parents. And then they came home later and they saw their stepdaughter and a Chinese boy, and they were confused. And then the next day, they saw their stepdaughter because they were about to go to school, and instead of a Chinese boy coming out to go to school, it was a girl, I guess, that had fake prosthetic breasts. So this was a transgender kid who wore these fake prosthetic breasts. And my friend told me, they said, it's not even that they were trans. Who cares? It's that they were a bad house guest, and that he would come home and there would be these giant fake prosthetic breasts just thrown onto the living room floor.
Before trans, there was goth. I think the goth kids created. Remember goth?
Did you have the goth? Original trans kids.
Yeah. Goth was like, they were like they weren't punk. They were like more depressed than punk. Yeah. These are the kids that like really got into like 9 Inch Nails, Skinny Puppy, and just all kinds of like even darker stuff than that. Yeah, there's just no fun.
No, no fun at all. And they are like trained that way through the media and shit because they want to make it confusing. Yeah, I know you study linguistics in college. They totally manipulate language.
Yeah. Well, there's Bill Maher. Every once in a while, he does a great job of nailing it. And he did a monologue recently where he talked about that, about the fact that progressives just want to rename problems. They don't want to solve them. Very good point.
Did you see Ice Baby of Vanilla Ice? He performed at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve.
No, I didn't see it, but I fucking love that. That's great.
And he had Ninja Turtles come out while he was doing it.
That's great. More of that. I think the things I really enjoy about watching, because look, it comes down to this. There's really, it's not about, the choice for me isn't about whether or not we're going to do anything good for the country. No. With this election, no choice. Neither choice that we have is going to be great. Mm-mm. But who do you want to hang out with for 4 years?
I mean, that would be a good ad for Trump. If he that would really be a good ad.
You want to hang out with these dorks?
You want to hang out with me?
Or do you want to hang out with me?
Do you want to change Joe Biden's diapers? Which one is it?
Come on. I mean, that's what it comes to. That's the only thing I'm voting for. Is who do I want to hang out with for the next 4 years?
It's definitely not Nikki Haley. There's not a person on the planet except Chris Christie that wants to hang out with Nikki Haley. Right. So we have a few more minutes. I'll let you pick the story we go through. I haven't read any of these, but I'll give you the headlines and we'll see which one that we dive into. Okay. First one, British police probe virtual rape in metaverse. I predicted that was coming years ago. The second one, high-end sex ring in Boston and D.C. areas was honeypot scheme by Russia, China, and South Korea. And Israel. More of the China and the international war angle. Then you have Biden kicking off 2024 by delving into some of the country's darkest moments, which is going to be his January 6th speech. It's coming. He might as well have a little mustache on for this one. He had the red background for the last one. Then you have, I'm Abrosexual, but it took me 30 years to understand what it meant.
I already know. I want to hear that one. That's...
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I just found out what a VERS was. You know, VERS are?
No.
I guess these people just like to have their holes stuffed.
That's what that is?
I just started looking at it briefly because a friend of mine used it, and I was like, God,
you did a lot of research. Wait.
No, I was just like, dude, there's a new queer word every fucking day.
You spent days investigating it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting word, though.
Yeah.
To just say they want to get their whole stuff.
No, it was in response. We were making fun of the Stephen Hawking being on the Epstein Island thing.
I was talking about that.
I heard Stephen was a VERS.
Yeah, on a show that I was on, I was like, "What they do? Get a bunch of girls in bathing suits, go to his computer typewriter, and say things to him." What did they do to him? But the thing about that is that I've known Stephen Hawking was on Epstein's Island for like 8 years, and this is what I told people about these documents. They did a whole show on it last night. The documents being released right now would not be being released if there were any incriminating information.
Oh, right.
What is most likely to happen through these documents, even if you can find some nuggets in there that might seem incriminating, I guarantee you they're not as incriminating the ones that already exist. But this other stuff is going to be used by the media to vindicate the Clintons. Is what this is going to do. I guarantee it. And what I tell people is a better way to spend your time is to go look at the 2008 Jeffrey Epstein documents related to where he got that sweetheart deal, and look at the Clintons' role in that. Because that is the incriminating shit that all of this is distracting from. I've been talking about this for years. There is no explaining the connections with Clinton, his daughter, his wife, and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. But nobody has ever asked him about this because he'd have no answer for, hey, why were you okay with you being used as a reference to in the plea negotiation letter to get Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal that took him from potentially life in prison to 13 months in a prison that he funded the building of, and he only had to spend 6 months in and then got to go home? And also, by the way, why did you start this Clinton Global Initiative that Jeffrey Epstein says he founded, and that the judge gave him a plea deal because he helped you found it? And One more thing, what's up with Ghislaine Maxwell avoiding deposition? She was subpoenaed by the victim's lawyers by saying that she couldn't come to the deposition because she was going to be in the UK taking care of her sick mother, and she couldn't do it in the future because she'd never be coming back to America for the rest of her life. And then 2 months later, she's photographed at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Can you explain any of that, Mr. Clinton? No, they've never been asked that shit. Most people have no fucking idea about any of that.
No.
And that's why they focus on these documents and not the ones that have been available for like 8 years, probably longer than that now.
Yeah. No, and exactly. These things have been out for about 8 years. They're only now getting a lot of attention, which is frustrating.
No, it's like it's a distraction to, and they release it the same way they release streaming shows now. They used to release them all at once, but they learned that people will binge them and then be like, "What's next?"
Yeah, they drip.
Right, it's just one episode at a time to keep people engaged. It's such a con.
Yeah, it is weird that I have been wondering, like, what is with? Is it because the fax machine is busy? There's a line, and they can only. It's like people at the office are like, hey, man, you've been faxing out these Epstein documents all day. The rest of us got to get some fax. There's only one fax in this entire courthouse.
Right.
Come on, man. Get out of the way.
It's ridiculous. It's so... The only time they never will actually focus the news on the Epstein stuff when it actually is going to reveal the damning information. But some of that stuff is actually available. People just don't realize it. Pacer.gov. It used to be available on, you could find it on other websites, but you can't anymore. I actually had posted, I've read thousands of pages of these Epstein documents from his old cases that are just so fascinating and crazy, right? And they've gotten taken down so many times from websites that I've had, multiple times. And to the point of where you couldn't even find them. You had to buy them on Pacer.gov. And They're probably still there if you want to. 2008, Jeffrey Epstein. Look that up on Pacer if you want to read the actual interesting, damning documents. A couple of comments here in response. Lacey says that she hears Gates is already started altruistically dumping millions in Planned Parenthood for all of the trans men online complaining about PMS. And PMS is a major problem for trans men. I do have to acknowledge
Dude,
that.
it is. I don't know why you keep acting like it's not.
It's not. It's just every time I see a guy bitching like a little bitch, I'm like, dude, are you
You better be
trans
careful,
man
dude.
PMSing?
One of these trans guys will come out and arm wrestle you or something like that. You don't want to get into an arm wrestling match with Elliot Page.
Look, I'll say this: if I ever lose an arm wrestling match to a trans man, you can call me a trans man for the rest of my life.
Set this up. I want this to happen so bad. If we ever do a live
Elliot
show,
Page beat me.
If we ever get a live, I want to do this so bad.
Have you seen the Elliot Page ad where I don't even know what the product is? I just know that they advertise it by her, where she's laying poolside, and there's a bunch of hot.
I'll let that one
bitches.
go. I'll let that one go.
What?
Okay, you said he was her.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say him.
But go ahead. He's laying poolside.
So just take any commercial from the 80s where it's like a dude who's in good shape laying by a pool and there's hot chicks around him and smoking a cigar and replace that guy with Elliot Page.
Fucking gross.
And this was the commercial.
gross.
Because all of these hot chicks, very well-endowed breasted chicks, want to scissor Elliot Page.
Like, I'm sorry, but if Elliot was hanging out with us, every time, they're hanging out, we'd be nice and everything. And then every time, like, Elliot wanted to go to the bathroom, like, we're all drinking whiskey, hanging out by a fire, drinking whiskey, smoking cigars. Elliot goes in to use the bathroom. What happens? What do the rest of us do?
We all rush to the bathroom to get a glimpse.
Yeah, we all fucking rush to the bathroom. We're all like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, we want to see how it works.
I want to see.
Does she stand, sit? Is it like a squat? I don't know. It's weird. What I do know is if that were to happen and anybody in that room was not attracted to him, I'd call the FBI.
Yeah, that's a great point. I would call, maybe even the CIA.
Of course, the CIA is already listening usually.
Yeah. NSA.
JC says that it seems like we already knew most of the info. I agree when it comes to the Epstein stuff. I've not seen anything new from any of that. Yet people are consumed with it, and they're going to be consumed with it continually. I saw all these tweets where it's like, can you believe the Stephen Hawking thing and some other people there? I'm like, that has been out. It's been known. The only difference is people who said it have been called conspiracy theorists.
I've known Stephen Hawking has been a known perv forever. Like, he used to take his entire entourage of nurses with him to a strip club and like lay there on a bed while strippers gyrated all over him.
Put his whole wheelchair on a bed?
No, they probably lift him off. They probably cradle him like a lame, like.
Well, I wonder how he gets excited.
Paralyzed.
They just unplug his cord, plug it back in repeatedly, so he's like near death.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe he had no control over any of it because it's like, how do we know what he actually said or wanted?
Hey, what's an abrosexual?
Stephen Hawking. No, wait, I think it's this.
No, what was that?
Let me share this. We'll do the abrosexual, and then we'll get out of here.
No, I just realized
it's late. It's getting late.
It's getting late, and we took a huge tangent from abrosexual, and I really want to know.
And I don't want to demean what an abrosexual is, because maybe we're abrosexual.
Man, I'm already thinking it's already not.
So
as cool
here's the image here. I am abrosexual, but it took me 30 years to understand what it meant. I would also say this though, for that the term abrosexual, I don't think existed 30 years ago.
I don't know what the prefix abro means. I'm kind of at a loss.
I feel like it's almost Afro. I'm Afrosexual.
It feels made up. I think it's made up.
And you see the image here, the woman doing a selfie by a beach where she's so satisfied and happy about her abrosexuality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that seems like and who's that in the background there? Is that her abrosexual partner?
Is that a rock? Or
no, that's a person in a blue shirt kneeling down.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a homeless fisherman, it looks like.
You mean
she's probably sleeping with. I shouldn't say fisherman. I should say fisher they.
Fisher person,
fisher they.
Person of Jesus Christ.
It's a they be fisher. So I'll just go through. It's one of these stupid articles with a clickable. It says, "When did you decide this?" Is this the first one? Let me make sure I'm on the right page here. Not I'm starting the second page. Okay. When did you decide this about you being abrosexual? I've never heard of it. I support you, obviously. Obviously, I support you, the journalist says. But this doesn't sound real. Just some words that greeted me when I came out as abrosexual to a close friend back in 2020. So it's just like you come out as abrosexual to a close friend and you are shocked that they don't know what the hell that means.
Needless to say, we're not friends anymore. That's what she says.
I would, yeah, you're right. I didn't even see that. Needless to say, we're not friends anymore.
We're not friends anymore. Well,
it ruined the friendship.
Yeah, I've had a couple of friends like this who have said things to me, like things like, Ian, you're fucking politics, or you're this, that, you know. It's no, you know, I'll stop talking to you, and every time, and a couple of them have, and every time they threaten me with that, it's like blocking me or something. It's like someone who threatens with, but whenever they threaten me, I'm like, okay, well that's your, I don't fucking care if you're gonna stop being my friend for that.
Right, it's someone saying, hey, look,
you did me a favor.
Yeah,
you know?
The favor.
No, I said no. I was just saying you did me a favor. You know, like if you're gonna
go up to a friend and you say, "Look, I want to confide something in you. I'm going to make myself vulnerable. I've never told anybody else in the world this. I am this thing no one's ever heard of."
Are you sure that doesn't sound like a real word?
And then that person reacts and go, "You're not acknowledging? Are you seriously pretending this thing no one's ever heard of doesn't exist? We're not friends anymore."
They're just looking for a reason to feel fucking special.
I'm Afro-man-sexual. Like, it's just so stupid.
All right.
Let's keep going.
Abrosexual. We're already good and hot.
Oh, look at that. Look at that great outfit.
So this is abrosexual garb.
Yeah, she appears to be wearing a bed sheet.
Yeah,
with,
okay.
Penises.
I'm guessing
or is that? Yeah, penises are covered.
So abrosexuals do get tattoos. They do have hats.
Who's taking this picture? Is this another abrosexual?
It looks like it's the lawn and garden section at Walmart.
It does, doesn't it? And it says here, for those of you who don't know what abrosexuality is, which is everyone. That's everyone.
Yeah, I know.
In layperson's terms, in stupid people's terms, it simply means when someone's sexual identity fluctuates and changes. Oh, so we have to constantly follow your internal beliefs about yourself. And if we don't predict it correctly every time, we're a bigot, is what I'm reading here. Jeez. That's crazy. I read and reread the text, the dismissiveness of the messages cutting deeper each time. Here I was sharing my identity with someone I trusted, only for them to scoff at my words. What a bitch this person is. Although the easy defense is that you can't determine someone's tone from a text message. That's a true thing, by the way. This was a text message conversation. She didn't say that. She came out as abrosexual in text message. Is what we just learned.
Yeah, to a close friend.
To a close friend. I think it's clear that the vibe was far from supportive. It was judgmental and immediately doubtful. So this is a setup. She decided, in my opinion, beforehand, that the reaction to this weird thing nobody's heard of that she was going to say is negative. That was a predetermined decision. I dislike this person.
I love that all of this generation is just looking for the word that they can identify with, like the word that frees them. Right? This word frees me. I'm abrosexual. Now I can really realize my true human form.
It's my truth. I'm living my truth.
Fucking weirdos, man.
Yeah, it is weird. We have a comment here related to what you said earlier. Lacey says trans kids can't wash off the puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones like goth kids could that black eyeliner. No, they can't.
Exactly.
It's a little more permanent solution.
Yeah.
So now we see a picture of this, I don't know what to call this person, sitting in front of a weird tree.
That's an abrosexual person.
An abrosexual with their abrosexual dog, I guess.
Do you have abrophobia?
I do. I don't like abrosexual
dude.
people. I don't at all.
Wow.
Like, I'm a bigot against abrosexuals. And it says, sadly, this person isn't the only one who has voiced their opinions about my abrosexuality. So you're going to present this new thing.
Add 2 more to the list.
It's just, unless you just fully understand this thing that doesn't exist, and you ask no questions about what it actually means, or how you should address the person.
Yeah.
unless you just know, unless God put all of the knowledge of abrosexuality culture in you, you're a bigot and you're going to be defriended by this person.
Yeah. Yeah. This type of person should have to wear a sign. They should have to wear a name tag or a sign or something. They should have to signal to us exactly what's going on. I think that's, if we're going to have to play by these rules, then you guys have to bend a little as well. You got to tell us the rules.
And that is like exactly the opposite. And that is such a simple solution to that. It's a reasonable plan.
Yeah, they don't want you to know the rules.
They
can't control you if you know the rules.
We've been indoctrinated with all this cis culture. This, man and woman and penis and vagina. Our programming is out of control. We need to be told so that we don't make mistakes instead of being set up to be a TikTok video. But I just don't think... Yeah.
Ancient cultures, they had a two-spirit. They believed in a multi-gender two-spirit.
They were all abrosexual.
They also believed in throwing children in volcanoes.
Right. Yeah. Not abrosexual children.
Not abrosexual. Those are exalted.
So it goes on to say that when I was growing up, I'd never heard the term abrosexual. You were either straight, gay, lesbian, or lesbian. As far as the 90s society was concerned.
Bring it back.
Anything else was made up. Of course, we know this is far from the truth, but societal blind spots mean we learn terms much slower than if they're readily accessible. So they want it to be readily accessible, an option. There she is again.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's either straight, gay, or bisexual. And we have to guess. Is that what's going on?
That's it. You have to guess correctly.
Is it sexuality? Is there sexuality? See, I don't even know. They say sex, gender, and sexuality.
You're not allowed to ask until after you've had sex with someone.
Right. What their gender is?
Yeah. And if you ever let what appears to be a prolapsed vagina that's erect deter you from having opposite side sex, then you will be canceled for homophobia.
Hey, I don't mean to make it awkward, but you are a woman, right?
I don't know what this person is.
Yeah.
And
this is after sex.
Right. It's after.
You said after sex. It's like, so you are a woman, right?
I don't mean to like offend you. You've been peeing standing up, and
I just noticed that when you told me that you wanted to have sex, that you had an erection, and
right, it's a vaginal erection.
Oh, okay.
Have you never heard of that?
No, I haven't. But no. I don't mean to be a bigot.
Yeah, I'm filming this on TikTok right now. It's like your vagina looks exactly like my penis. I'm just confused. She goes on to say that often people don't go looking to educate themselves on different orientation. So we don't go trying to find things that we don't know exist.
She said ordinarily?
Ordinarily we don't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because it's fucking weird to do that.
Unless it directly affects them, she says, without any incentive. And she says, I found many stick to what they know already. I didn't learn about abrosexuality until 2 years ago when I was 30. Up until that point, I struggled to identify what my sexuality was because it fluctuated so rapidly. There were times that I scoffed at it, chastised myself for being so uncertain of who I was. It wasn't that I couldn't make up my mind, but rather my identity had shifted. So it's like a crazy person who they find a solution for by making up a term, is what it's saying.
Identity shift.
Look at that shirt she's wearing.
Eliminate body hate.
She's wearing a shirt that says eliminate body hate with a heart surrounding it.
That is not a happy
Super sexy. It's a super sexy look.
Eliminate body hate. Who is hating? Who is that message directed towards? That seems like an outward. That seems like something you put on a shirt because it's something you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah, and I think that could be an explanation, but maybe she's dated a few people who she didn't realize when she first went out with them. They're anti-abrosexual, and the abrosexual body's different.
I love you. It's just the fact that you have a body. You know, if your mind is fine, like if we could just download your soul into a computer,
Yeah,
I think we could have a relationship.
that could bang
I'm
a
just
hard
not
drive.
into I just hate bodies, you know?
Right. And if I'm understanding abrosexuality correctly, they're so fluid. You're married or dating an abrosexual person. You wake up one day, they're a woman, they're cooking. You know, you wake up the next day, they're fucking you in the butt because they're a dude. You have no idea what you're getting into, and perhaps that was part of the criticism. Is I never know what your body is with the abrosexuality thing,
Right.
and so she eliminate body hate.
Yeah. Just get rid of it.
I mean, it's like every day you open. It's like what am I? So it's very exciting with abrosexuality, a partner, because what the hell am I waking up to?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it could be fun for some people.
It could be for some people. I would like a little consistency, knowing that I'm waking up to the same person every day.
Well, bigots like consistency, according to the abrosexual culture, from what I
True.
understand.
That's true. And consistency is rooted in
White Christianism
supremacy.
and Christian nationalism,
That's right.
and Putin is the leader of it. I
That's
think.
right.
Consistent.
Yeah.
And MAGA, all that shit. Everybody's racist.
All MAGA.
They're also fucking racist and abrosexual, anti. And so she says she felt she was lost as if out at sea, which I would challenge her to debate someone who's actually been lost at sea.
Yeah.
To say, did you feel like an abrosexual, like you were lost
So
at
she
sea?
felt like a terrible sailor.
right. Did you?
That's what she's saying. She felt like a sailor that wasn't so good at sailing.
I also felt like a fraud because of how much I changed my identity when chatting with loved ones.
Did she get those tattoos from the Navy that she got lost at sea with?
That's how she got the tattoo, some pirates from the Navy. But I love that she felt like a fraud because she kept telling her family she was a different gender.
Oh my gosh.
Right? No one was intentionally hurtful, but I'd get the occasional, but you said you were a lesbian last week.
Is this going to be a slideshow where she turns into, she looks like Hulk Hogan by the end?
That would be so great. This is like so this is getting to the crazy reality that I'm imagining they're testing out, where it is a problem and you're wrong if somebody comes to you and tells you they're a lesbian, and then the next week they come to you and say that they're a trans or straight, and you say, but you said you were a lesbian last week, where that question becomes evil and wrong.
Yeah. This is how they're going to give this very select group a minority of control over you. This is all about
Absolutely.
power and control and intimidation. And the only way to push back is to just go, fuck you, you're fucking stupid.
Right.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Right.
Or,
Yeah, you suck their abrosexual vagina or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, the only way to do it is just push back. And
It's
just
just
be like,
go
stop
fuck
being, you're being a
yourself.
fucking idiot. Go fuck yourself. Shut the fuck up.
I agree completely. My perspective on that is when people are genuine and nice and they don't get offended by it, they're
That's
not
right.
looking to get offended.
We're going to be good to go.
I will try. I'm not going to try to offend them on purpose. Like, nope. I don't want to do that. But when someone is trying to bait me and put me in a situation to where I say something that they can then demonize, then go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit what you say that you are. That's how they control society, is when they try and create this culture of people who get everything they want and control things by being the most outraged pussies on the planet. It's fucking, I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, every one of those misgendering viral videos, the camera just happens
setups,
to be in the right place.
And the last one I saw was this it was literally a white dude who was setting up a black man.
Yeah.
That in any other context would be racist, but they sympathized with the misgendering of
That's
the
right.
pretending to be. It's never been like a worse time to be a white male. It's never been a greater time to be a white male pretending to be a black female.
That's what they're trying to get us. I mean, I have been thinking about it lately, that I could really make my life. I could definitely. I could guarantee that I can't get fired from my job if I showed up and I started being. And I would be Anne.
Yeah.
Or Anna. Maybe Anna.
You've been thinking about names?
Annie. Maybe Annie. Annie.
I'd be LaToya.
You'd be LaToya?
Yeah.
That's interesting. You're not. So you wouldn't want to have anything associated to your dead name. You want to go. You don't
dead
want
name me. My pimp shoots you.
Oh. So you're gonna be a prostitute.
Be a fucking prostitute. Well, in theory, anyway.
Well, that's great.
Because that's the most. You have to be the highest on the intersectionality ladder.
I'm going for Christian housewife, for a trans woman.
You're what do they call that on X? It's a fatnet. What's that trend of a trad wife? Is that what you're gonna be, a trad wife?
Yeah, but I'm gonna be a trans trad.
Trans trad.
I'm gonna cross.
Oh, that's so funny, dude. I would love to see the trans trad wife.
I'm just gonna cross. I'm just gonna cross it all together, because this is how we bring peace and unity.
You're a trans trad wife that just wants to stay at home, cook and make babies for your husband.
Cook and make babies for my husband. That's right. I'm a super conservative. I would be super conservative.
Right.
Trans woman.
And the only thing's
because I'm going to be an elegant lady.
Very
I'm going to be a lady.
Always wearing an apron.
That's why I was thinking Annie. Annie has a certain elegance to it.
Annie's good. And so the image, you see the trad wife, and you see always the big breast, protruding.
I would be happy to have big breasts.
But it would not just be the big breast for the tranny trad. You have the big breast and the big dick, both pursing out from the.
Well, yeah, that's
that's the trad wife. So go to church every Sunday. All right, let's get through this. She then says that I think we got through that. Oh, she says that they didn't understand, and at the time, I just didn't have the right words to explain myself. Which you would think there would be a moment of recognition, thinking, well, then they wouldn't have the right words to respond to you if you didn't have the right words to explain yourself. And there she is sitting on a rock. What is up with these photos? What is she, a character in Red Dead Redemption in this photo?
I don't get it.
Because she would be lassoed and dragged. I'm going to be honest. That's what happens to feminists on Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
And it says, it was only when I was reading the Instagram page of Zoe Stoller. So she learned her knowledge about her sexuality from Instagram. From this person who is a U.S.-based creator, educator, and social worker who seeks to improve the visibility of the LGBTQ plus community, that she saw the term abrosexuality for the first time. In cartoons, when a light bulb appears above their heads, that's how I felt when I read the post. Finally, I feel seen. Yet while discovering a new term for me has been hugely beneficial to understanding myself much better, to some people, my identity is one that evokes confusion. To some people. To all people.
Vast, overwhelming fucking majority of people.
Every person you've ever told this to. And she says, I tell people that I'm abrosexual. I'm often greeted by a blank expression, followed by a question of what the term means. When I'm assuming the appropriate response should be to immediately drop down and start sucking them off.
Right. When I tell people that I'm abrosexual, how often does this come up? Brad, in the last 10 years, have you ever looked at someone and said, I'm heterosexual? Nice to meet you. I'm Brad, the heterosexual.
Yeah. I was formerly abrosexual, but yeah, all the time. No, I've never done that. You're right. But that's how people lead. That's how they identify. This is the whole idea of everything is identity politics, the most divisive thing on the planet. It's just everybody needs something to feel like they are seen and heard. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be seen and heard. I'm saying this idea of being seen and heard is bullshit. And the people who are telling you need to go be something you've never heard of to be seen and heard are completely undermining and discrediting everything you already have inside of you that is unique and wonderful that they refuse to acknowledge. Because if they acknowledged it, then you would be empowered and you would no longer need to buy into their bullshit because you would do shit on your own. Like the whole, the government control and people feeling this learned helplessness that they need to rely on this shit is largely created by the fact that society is structured in a way where people learn that they're worthless unless they do what the government tells them. And all of their qualities that could be developed and wonderful and they could survive off of are never acknowledged.
Yeah.
Fuck the government is what I'm saying here.
Definitely in its current form.
But also make sure it finishes with its abrosexual genitalia. The government is abrosexual. All right. Well, I think this is the last.
Yeah.
Well, I'm keeping you way too long. I know we've gotten animated on this here. And she says, and questions are fine. as long as they're respected. I'm not expecting everyone to know what it means. Hell, I didn't until 2 years ago, but you should always listen with respect. Okay, I'm happy to say that the rest of my friends and family have been very supportive of my identity and have strived to learn more. I bet they talk behind her back. I bet they're worried.
Of course they do. Everyone's so fucking nervous when she comes over. It's like, okay, guys, here's the things we can't say. But
here's a list of things you can't say.
Hopefully she doesn't say too long.
Put it in your pocket and don't let her see it. One question I've been asked is about how being abrosexual impacts my love life, and in short, it doesn't. It doesn't alter my romantic relationships in any way. Being bisexual doesn't, because a person to feel any differently about the partner doesn't. So you shouldn't care about. This is the whole theme. If it doesn't matter, you should love the person and not their genitalia, I guess.
Yeah. Which means you should go ahead and masturbate a woman's penis.
Absolutely. And Lacey says, what is abro short for, if not abracadia, which makes me think of abraconda, which makes me think of I like big butts. My anaconda doesn't want none unless you got big buns. And so as long as you got big buns, hon, then abrosexuality is perfect for a lot of people. And then she says one question. Oh, she already got that one. She says, I love the person rather than their gender, so it doesn't matter if her sexuality fluctuates. And this is like a minor article, but this is a theme that they would like to just kind of put into culture. This idea.
It's bizarre. It's a factory of manufacturing these fucking stories. And what's interesting is what people who are trans activists will refuse to admit is they'll say, well, no, trans people have always existed. You're just seeing more of them now because they're less afraid to come out.
They're empowered.
But
it's gone up like 80% in school.
But simultaneously, we live in a heteronormative, transphobic world, and if you say anything about them, trans people are dying every day, and they're terrified for their lives.
We should kill all cis people.
So absolutely. So they're claiming that both of these two things are true simultaneously.
And there was a study yesterday in the news that said that we have discovered the mechanism in humans that leads to bisexuality. And I'm like, what is it? It's like alcohol and lipstick lesbians. What is this mechanism? Yeah. But it was presented in a way where it's like people thought that it's weird. And I see it leading to all of this. It's just a genderless thing.
Mm-hmm. Which they just want us to all wear silver jumpsuits and have no genders.
Right. And
have numbers for names.
Individual.
Eat crickets.
And so they reproduce these Klaus Schwab people.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so many Klaus Schwab sketches we should do. It would be very funny. Mm-hmm. It's just like who outside of people in this community, it's just some people don't even know who Klaus Schwab is.
Some people don't even know what the World Economic Forum is.
It's crazy. Like Bill Maher. All right, 2 more slides. And Ian, if you need to go, I know I've kept you way too long.
After these 2 slides, let's do it.
It says, she says, however, even after explaining this, there's always people, some people who enjoy demanding that I pick a lane. They tell us to pick a lane though, right? So it's confusing messages. Like you're told to stay in your lane, so that her identity doesn't offend them. And I think she's probably projecting there. I doubt they said the offensive part. I think that's what they're programmed by these direct action activist groups to believe. And she says, I want people to know that just because you don't know or understand an identity doesn't make it less authentic, but it's still hard to hear things like mate, you're just confused. I guess she's friends with an Aussie. Or just say you're bisexual and be done with it. Who says that to? Maybe her brother says that. Like that's a weird thing. Because everybody knows at this point in society that you have to if somebody came up to me and started presenting this idea of abrosexuality to me, you know what I would do? I would go, that's wonderful.
Yeah, you back away slowly.
I got to go get back to work is what I would tell them.
Back away slowly like you saw someone just step on a landmine.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, and
I've got to go.
Backing away from the landmine.
I've been advocating for the abrosexuality community for so long. Let me know if you need anything. I got to go. That's what I would do. Nobody's going to be like, why don't you choose one, you fucking douche. Like, nobody's gonna do that.
Come on, mate.
The only way I do that is if one of our best friends that we know tried to genuinely come out as it. I'd say, shut up, dude.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, maybe that's what's going on here.
Really? Tonight? You're going to talk about that
now? You're going to be an abrosexual tonight.
Come on.
You're just
like, we're just hanging out. Come
you're
on.
just high. You've done too many mushrooms.
Yeah, you're not abrosexual. You're going to be fine.
Dude, what if somebody we know is abrosexual?
I don't think there's anybody we know that's abrosexual.
What if,
I think everybody we know is pretty well adjusted.
What if the biggest conservative friend of ours, we have like a couple of them, it's very narrow because most of our friends are very gay progressives. What if they actually were huge, they were the leaders of the abrosexual community, and we had no idea?
I can't even fathom which one of my friends would fill that in. Like, it would be so shocking.
I think that's the idea.
I can think of plenty of my progressive friends.
They're all abrosexual.
Yeah.
But the PR stunt is to be like like Trump. Like I've always said, Trump needs to come out as a black woman.
Oh my gosh.
He needs to be a black. I'm so honored to be the first black female president, and that it would go down in history because they can't deny it. So she says, I refuse to be boxed in by someone else's limited knowledge. We're all learning new things about ourselves all the time. That's what growth and development is. I don't disagree with that, but I do disagree with the fact that she's kind of condemning people who don't just like understand what she's being. She says, eventually I hope that abrosexuality will be seen as normal, just another identity that someone might have and not regarded as a way to be on trend, which that's what it is, as some of the hurtful comments I've received suggested. You know, if you're going to come out as something nobody's ever heard of, you're going to get comments where people might say you're following a trend. You should expect that.
That's true. That's true.
Acceptance can come only from education and stepping outside of your comfort zone to familiarize yourself with a terminology you might not know. You should have sex with an abrosexual person, I think.
Just make sure it's on the right day.
Yes. Yeah, right. You don't want to do it when they're a bisexual person. Then it's a lost cause. You got to do it again. There's a whole wealth of LGBTQ knowledge online that people would benefit from learning, so the ignorance isn't the main language, so to speak.
Pornhub.com.
Pornhub.com and Johns Hopkins University definitions of, because this is where a lot of this shit comes from. These definitions often originate at Johns Hopkins University. And finally, and there she is posing in front of a horse statue. Without individuals like Stoller, I'd still be in the dark about my sexuality. I know that it was ever changing, but I wouldn't know why or what it meant in terms of my authenticity. She just doesn't know who she is.
This last sentence. Now that I know, I can put a name to my identity, and I'm excited to see how that fluidity emerges.
I would not like to be any part of that fluidity. Personally.
Doesn't this sound like demonic possession a little bit? Just a little bit.
It sounds like it sounds like
when you think of like ancient texts and stuff, or like the Bible, and they're talking about demonic possession, and like it just sounds like she's possessed by this. It's weird.
She is definitely possessed by it. What I get out of it is I think, and it talks about it in these activist manuals. They talk about their ideal prospect, and in this book called The Organizational Weapon, the Bolshevik Strategy, there's a whole chapter on the type of people that they target, and it is typically people that don't have a leader in their life. Often they don't have a father figure or anybody to kind of give them the way when they're a child, and they see them as the most vulnerable, and those people are searching for something, and these groups come to them and they offer them a solution to all of their problems, and they win them over through a system of carrots and sticks, praising them for doing these activist things. And I see somebody like this as a person who has been targeted as, you've been searching for something, I'm going to give you the answer to it.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to put you out there and get you the recognition that you deserve that you have never received.
Yes. What gets people involved in cults, and this is obviously a cult, and what gets extreme leaders into power is this idea that it's a one-stop shop. I'm going to solve all your problems. Here's a new way you can look at the world, and it's going to solve everything.
All of them. And it completely ignores the fact that the reason they feel the way that they do is because of the way society has been structured to to make them value themselves as nothing because they don't have what people who are in different families or different upbringings have. And if it were, and this is like an ideal society, in my opinion, is, and I think that you're good at this. I've been pretty good at this with this. You teach improv. I've taught improv. It's like good at recognizing what people are good at and helping them see that, because for most of their life, no one has ever said that is a valuable thing about yourself that you could further develop and apply to society in a way that helps other people and helps you succeed. And we make fun of improv a lot, but thinking about things in an improv way, I think does see that value in others and points out and can give them the self-confidence, because they've been so brainwashed by the structure of you need to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then become an abrosexual.
Right.
Couple comments, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you for sticking with me here.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
Denver says we need to orient all of Hollywood around putting trans and multicultural representation in 1200 AD stories of Poland. It can't be legit unless it is half black, half Vietnamese, midget trans. I used to be sarcastic. And he says it's literally fucking bisexual. That's already a thing. Right. It is.
Yeah. Well,
bisexual.
Obviously you weren't listening because she said it's not.
Because
it is the same thing. I still can't figure out the difference.
It's just such a con, man. It's this con artist going to town saying, hey, you're bisexual, right? But there's 40 different sexualities. I can make you a star. Abrosexual. Okay. Thank you guys for watching the show. This is kind of a last minute show.
Oh,
and
so
Ian,
much fun.
I appreciate you sticking around. This is much later.
Of course, it was so much fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime. Hey, I'm picking my cat up tomorrow. He had knee surgery.
Oh my God.
Getting so excited.
Yes.
So excited.
You probably missed the hell out of him, I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can follow Ian on X at Reginald. What's that?
Reginald V Actor. It's at Reginald V Actor. Things are we're heating up a little bit today. Go jump on there. You don't have to engage. You can always just go along for the ride.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, check him out, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your
All right, later.